Welcome back to the Don't Write That Book podcast, where you can learn how to write your bestseller and own your authorship. Follow along with us as we give you an insider's view of the book industry. Now, here are your hosts, myself, Mike Michalowicz, and AJ Harper. I woke up with my wife this morning. I mean, we both woke up kind of early, around 6:30. And I said, I have some exciting news. I said, what is it? I said, Jake's employer, who I'm friends with, the owner, Jake, our youngest son, is getting Jake tickets for the Devils versus Utah hockey game. Jake is a huge New Jersey Devils fan, and they're playing in Utah. As a surprise, well, Jake is still visiting our home and staying in the guest room, which is adjacent to our bedroom. And Chris is like, shh, what are you doing, you idiot? He's sleeping. I mean, he's in the room next to us. He's listening. I'm like, it's 6:30 in the morning. He's sleeping. And she's like, he has odd hours. So I'm like, okay, sorry. 5 minutes later, she's like, oh, you wouldn't believe what happened. Like top of her voice is talking. And I'm just looking at her and she's like, what? I'm like, Jake's sleeping. And then she slapped me on the butt and I left. So it was
just like a little fun little marital
dispute over. Yeah. Well, she lectured me for, waking the house. And then she did the exact same thing 5 minutes later because she forgot.
I get it now. Okay. I didn't follow you. Now I understand.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm like, Jake's sleeping. And now you're the loudmouth.
Yeah.
She's like, get out of here. Go do your stupid podcast. Because I don't even listen to every single episode. I love it so much. She loves our show.
Does she listen?
She listens. She loves it. She herself is don't want to say aspiring writer. She's always been a writer, but she just writes for herself. She never aspires to be published or any of that stuff. So she enjoys the craft. And she has said, and so this is your compliment, she goes, AJ truly has the most lovely voice I've ever heard on podcasts.
That's so nice.
Yeah, what a great compliment. And what a great natural gift. Because I
can only really thank my parents.
Yeah, because I don't think people can change their voice except for Madonna, who all of a sudden became British one day.
No, that's an accent. That's not your voice. That's not true. And her voice didn't change. That's not the quality of the voice.
Yeah, that's true.
I was listening to some good Madonna the other day. Old school, like
a Virgin, or before that?
After.
Oh, okay. The one when she's on the island with the guy.
No, La Isla Bonita.
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
Remember the song Music?
No.
You should play it after this. Okay. It's going to get you going. It's going to get you going for the day.
She's a concert I like to see. I've seen
Madonna. I saw Madonna in junior high.
Oh, so that was when she was top of the game. I mean, yeah. I presume she's still... Actually, I take it back. I know she's not touring in 2026 because I Googled it just a few days ago after listening to Like a Virgin. I'm like, I want to see her perform. So... Are you ready to kick in?
I hope you get to. I know you guys are on your tour of let's see all the oldies before they croak.
Yeah, we were just about to book the Eagles, which we already saw. So we're like, we don't have to do a double. I just heard someone else is coming through town that I haven't seen. I was like, I want to see them. You ready to kick into it?
Let's go because it's a big week in the future.
Yeah, this is the launch week. And with full transparency, we recorded this episode and you said, Mike, not good enough. We recorded it right before Thanksgiving. While I had construction going on in the house, which was so disconcerting. The whole house was shaking. The irony was we're recording a podcast as the podcast room in my house is being constructed, which is intended to be a near silent room. They're putting in special baffling and silencers and insulation. I was like, bub, 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 bub.
Well, let's be really clear. That isn't the only thing. You also had your daughter's rabbits in your office next to you.
Oh, that was killing me. That's right.
And there was a fur issue.
Fur everywhere.
Fur in the air.
We're doing the video right now. When you were watching the video, you would see just fur floating by my face.
Kids home.
Yep.
Extra dogs. All loving things, but just maybe not ideal for concentration the day before Thanksgiving.
100%.
Yeah.
So thank you for suggesting that we redo this.
Yeah, it's a big week.
It's a huge week because this baby is out.
Yeah.
The Money Habit. So if you're watching our video, it's out. If you're not watching I slapped or smacked
banging on the hardcover.
Hardcover. Yeah. I think I shared on that episode that we ditched. I love this cover. It's a light blue cover, bold size or large size fonts in white. It really stands out. The idea I had was to put a money wrap around it. So below the text, the money habit is a money wrap that the subtitle's in that you'd see wrap around singles or tens or hundreds. The only thing is it didn't get wrapped. It just goes to the edge. So, I mean, from the front, it looks appropriate, but it doesn't wrap around the book. That's the one thing I should have
Annoyance.
Peter. Yeah. Because I had visualized that, but I didn't communicate that. I love the cover. And you were sharing, I think I could redo a cover on a future print run, right? There's no major consequence of that.
No, not especially because you're not changing the front.
Yeah.
You don't do
the front
that.
doesn't change at all.
Yeah.
So the answer is to that, or the idea is, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do that.
Maybe you should. Well, I'm going to kick off admire, because I just want to say that I admire the fact that you took a chance on going into a bold new direction when you certainly don't have to do that. It might seem to some people like it's part of what Mike always does, but you are entering a new readership beyond. Wow. It's not excluding the existing readership. It's building on the existing readership. But that is a big deal to enter into a new realm and it's almost like starting over with the new readership, because most of them don't know you. And so I want to say I admire you for taking that on.
I admire us. Yeah. Thank you. And it was a relearning for both of us. I remember the call because I was in my office. I dare say I was still in my old home office before I moved to a different space when my daughter moved out. And we're talking about this book. And my belief is your perception was, this is a extension of the Profit First reader. And I didn't necessarily ever see it that way, but I did see the Profit First principles kind of playing through. And I think you had an aha, and that became, to me, a transformative moment in how this book was written. It was basically all the stuff we had written was washed out, and we had to start anew. It was a fresh start in the book. And this really does feel like the first book in a long time that we constructed from the very beginning. There was no continuance of an existing reader. It was a brand new reader.
Well, once I realized it, but I mean, it was tough. I had a hard time in the beginning. It was, going back, if you look at it, at first I was like, this is great. Because for our listeners, if you go back and you read it, listen to us from the beginning, you'll hear a process of Mike trying to decide what is the next book. And we thought we had it, and we were patting ourselves on the back for how fast we got that done at retreat. Sitting around twiddling our thumbs, looking at the bear in the lake, and we was like, we killed it. We know what we're doing. And then we shelved that book because in our process of interviewing and gathering, which is the second step in the development process, we realized there wasn't enough there yet to be able to write a whole book. You had to do more testing and so forth. And on the podcast, if you listen back, we are talking about what are you going to do? Trying to make the decision. You even took time where you just paused, and that was new for you, where you normally, at this stage, normally you and I would have already had a retreat.
That's right. Totally, for the next book.
And we probably would have started interviewing already.
Correct.
So the fact that you first took a pause to really think, what do I really want to do? You kicked around a couple of different ideas, and then ultimately you decided on this personal finance book. Personal finance built on the Profit First system. I came home and I was like, oh my God, it's going to be cake. It's going to be cake and fun. Because I know Profit First wrote it twice. For those of you who don't know, there was the original version that has a piggy bank on the cover. But when Penguin Random House picked you up, Mike, for publishing, that's actually revised and expanded. And it's not just like, let's add a few things. That's a complete overhaul. Sometimes they're more work.
Yeah.
And so I was like, did this twice. Got it.
I know inside and out.
And it was actually a lesson, in my own, not rhetoric, but, what I believe, which is put the reader first. And I forgot. that there's a different mentality in this reader. And so I had to go back and redo a lot of stuff.
It's really interesting of how important it is to leave elements in the cutting floor. So when we look at Profit First version 1 versus the revised and expanded, the version 1 had an advanced and basic version of Profit First. And the realization was that was too much and confusing, and it wasn't necessary. So you just simplified the entire version. Like, it's just one pathway, and you can stop at any point you want as you move along the pathway. But it's one contiguous path. The sales for the book on a daily sales basis, I think, quadrupled after the revised and expanded edition. But there's this missing part, and that's what I want to talk about today, because this is going to be the behind the scenes of the money habit, is that some readers were trying to interpret Profit First for their home finances. And while there's even a chapter dedicated to it, we call it the Profit First Life, readers were struggling with it. I can't tell you how many people, AJ, including yesterday, I just got back from travels and I got 1 more week, 4 more gigs, or 3 more stops. Yesterday was the first gig. 3 more, and then I'm done for the season until January, which this is when this will come out. But someone came up to me and said, I'm doing Profit First. And then they feel like they have to apologize to me. I'm not doing 100%. I mean, I got the basics going. And so I don't have to, but I do say the fact you got anything started is appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to follow the book to the T. It isn't designed to follow every single step. It's designed to get started and see impact. And when we wrote The Money Habits, the same thing is, what are the fewest, easiest steps you can take to have or see measurable results, feel an internal impact on your emotions, so forth. And if you feel so inspired, to continue the path. But if you decide to stop at that moment, that it'll forever change you for the better.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we did it. Do you want to go over the fundamentals? Or
I do. I think it's important to, we talk about it so much on this program. It's something I believe, and that's what I write about in my book. And I think you need a guiding force. And we did it. We created fundamentals for your book before we did anything else. Yeah. So let's talk about, for whom did you write this book?
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of books out there for people seeking financial freedom. And how I define that, I think how it's commonly defined, is I never want to worry about a bill again. In context that I can take any action in the moment that I decide, whimsically or not, and there's enough money to cover it, and I don't have to worry about that bill. I want to take a trip tomorrow to the Galapagos. Okay, good. On a private jet. Oh, okay. That's financial freedom, that you can just do whatever you want whenever you want. This book is not about financial freedom. It's about something I think that's far more important, far more foundational, which is financial independence. And financial independence, how we're defining it, is that you have authority and control over the cash that you do have. You don't have this unlimited amount. You can't take a trip via the private jet to the Galapagos if the money isn't there to support it. But you have this conscious awareness. So what the money habit does is, irrespective of the income you're earning, it will bring clarity about what's available for what purpose and what intention. So you can assert control over it. And with clarity comes control. And then start directing what your intentionality is around money. If you do want to do that private jet thing, well, okay, there's a pathway to get there. Also, regardless of what your income is, it just may be a long journey. I can put $1 away every week, and many people likely could do that. That's $52 a year. So yeah, you can get to that private jet. It may just take you 1,000,000 years to get there. But it's still, theoretically doable, but it gives you an awareness now that there is a levers that you can pull. And it's interesting. I think I was sharing this on the episode that we ditched. My brother-in-law is in the military. He's now retired military, but he still serves in contractual, I guess it is, contractual jobs.
I don't know the terms.
Yeah. He's in Baghdad right now. There's the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, and he's serving there. And prior to that, he was a drill sergeant. And I was asking him about what's it like for a soldier. And he goes, these people come in generally with little direction, little anticipation, understanding. This wasn't necessarily an aspiration for them to join the military. They decided it was the best for their path. There's a lot of children that come in that are kids because they're 18, they're disjointed and had a rough life. And he goes, we put them through boot camp. And what boot camp is it brings this absolute strict system. Every minute of your life is accounted for. Because people think that you would collapse under that. But this absolute structure is what people need to thrive. Because you can't just take someone and put them in the military and serve. You've got to get them through boot camp to tear them down and rebuild them up, to put structure around them. And they start to thrive under structure. The money habit, well, it's not boot camp like, it does bring about structure. And I think most people struggle financially because they don't have financial structure. And so you just kind of are floating around all waylaid. But with structure comes about a discipline and understanding, and then you can blossom from there.
Yeah, you shared that actually in our last recording, which was about structure versus writing free. So you did share that story there.
So this is ironic. You'll hear this now on next week's episode, me talking about the story, right? Because we're going back in time.
But I think it's important to note that we used to write for underdog entrepreneurs, and
right.
Each time we do think about who is the reader, it's not just the who, but it's also the desire and the perceived obstacle. And, we identified people who really don't want to worry about money ever again. And like you just talked about, not just about jets or anything like that, vacations. Yeah. It's just, I don't want to worry that I'm going to be able to cover my mortgage. I don't want to worry that if my car breaks down, I'm going to be SOL. So that constant hum of worry about the next thing. Are you going to be able to manage it? Those are your people. And then the perception is what I need to be able to achieve that is just a lot more money.
That's right. It's funny. I had a webinar I did on the money habit with a group called, I'm going to mess up their name. Just Dance is part of it. But it's a dance studio, group of dance studio owners. And so I asked in that webinar, and I'm doing one more presentation on it this week on the money habit. And I ask people, I say, what is the number one financial concern you have? Something you worry about or just wonder about? And put it in this case, in the chat. And it's almost now predictable. I've done so much. The mortgage or rent is the number one frequent worry. Runner up to that is groceries, right? And groceries usually is a more condensed period, which also means even greater financial strain. Every week or a few days, you're worrying about your groceries. I worry if I can pay it. But the number one frequent one I hear is, can I pay my rent this month or my mortgage? The number two most frequent worry or wonder is retirement. Will I have enough money to actually retire? And what's interesting is this represents people of all different incomes. So you can have what we call a tier one income. The average U.S. income as of the writing of the book is $50,000 a year for an individual. That's the average. So if you are listening to this and you earn more than that, you're actually outpacing the average. And if you earn less than that, that's quite a few people. And you can still, you definitely can achieve financial independence. What was interesting is people in I call tier one, 50,000 or less, tier two, say 50 to 100 and so forth. In these different tiers, the worry stayed the same. So this is because of Parkinson's law. Parkinson identified, he's a theorist from the 1950s, identified that as the availability of a resource increases, we actually consume more of it. So as you earn more income, it's our natural tendency to spend more of it. His research was around time mostly. The more time you're given to do something, the longer it takes. And what was so interesting is these entrepreneurs were all over the spectrum on income. Their businesses, I didn't ask their personal income, but their businesses, you could tell, were indicative. There was a few business owners in there. Their business makes about $75,000 a year. And if your business earns $75,000 a year, you're absolutely not earning that amount. You're probably earning half of that. But there were some businesses in there making millions. And all of them consistently worried about mortgage, rent, and retirement and groceries. That's the big three. Interesting.
Yeah. So the perception is then, if I just need more money then. So then that's what you're going for, those type of solutions. Correct. But just as you described with Parkinson's law, that applies. So the more money you make, it doesn't necessarily change the situation for you if you're not managing your cash in a way that makes sense. And that cash management is what gives you the independence.
That's right.
The problem with the cash management, though, leads to core message, because where most people try to manage cash backfires on them. And can you explain why?
Yeah, I think, and I'm curious to what you observe too, if there's something in addition to this, is the two primary personal finance principles are, one is to deploy radical discipline and willpower to deprive yourself of most of your life elements to achieve a point where you have such significant savings that you can live this extraordinary life later on. So sacrifice everything now to get everything later. I think that's one kind of overarching principle. The other one is use our system. So use our spreadsheet or this plugin or app. There's some protocol you got to follow that requires you to deploy another kind of more sophisticated technology or method. And some budgeting systems are on paper and so forth, but it's effectively a budget. The first one often fails because it's totally out of alignment with human nature and human wiring. There's a thing called operant conditioning and so forth. There's research in the early 1900s by this guy, B.F. Skinner, identified we need wins to sustain momentum. We need small wins, and that builds bigger and bigger momentum. So that's why this radical discipline, while some people can deploy it and get there, the vast majority fail. It's like a diet. Why do so many diets fail? It's all about removing things. So the other part, when it comes to budgets and finance, it requires you to change who you are. If you don't naturally do something, now you have to learn this discipline. That's extremely hard. If you've never been a rock climber, I'm just thinking of that because my daughter's a rock climber. She tells me, hey, Dad, let's go to the gym. Or, I remember she called and said, hey, you want to do Devil's Tower? I haven't rock climbed once in my life. And my daughter's like, let's go do Devil's Tower. It's like a 5,000 foot. First of all, I'm afraid of heights. Secondly, I don't know how to rock climb. She's like, yeah, but you should just be able to do it. No, I've never done it before.
Yeah.
And so these people that write these budgeting systems, they know how to rock climb. And there's this assumption that anyone's going to be able to rock climb. And it's just not the case.
Yeah.
So the core message is...
Then there's a whole bunch of other behavioral stuff that just totally bites us, right? Like there's a whole, and you talk about it in the book, all the different behavioral principles that show how trying to adhere to some budget somebody else created or extreme deprivation is ultimately not sustainable.
Correct. I think the overarching biggest principle, which we didn't talk about at all in probably first, but it's in there. And we do explain it in this book a little bit, but we don't dive into the behavioral components so much. We give these quick explanations.
And
the editor is appreciative of that.
Yeah.
But we don't go in deep.
No.
If you really want to know the deep science, we went into what's called optimal foraging theory. So I'll share the deep science here because I think it's fascinating.
And you're a super geek for it.
I'm super geeked for it. So rewind to prehistoric or early humankind, and they were hunters and gatherers. Well, the hunter wouldn't say, hey, I'm getting kind of hungry. I'll go pick up a steak or something. And the gatherers weren't like, oh, you know what? I'll get us a fruit salad. Like, no, they went on a massive hunt for the woolly mammoth, or when there was berries and stuff, you took all of it. So that was the collection of the hunt was the gathering, and you'd gather in mass. But then there was immediately a problem. And by the way, the reason you hunted in mass was because of the caloric burn. To go out every few hours to pick up a steak and so forth, you didn't hop in your car. You had to go out there and get it. So there was a major caloric burn or risk associated with the hunt. So you hunt for something big. Once you got that woolly mammoth, now the new problem presents itself, and it's rotting. It's a dead animal. There's only so much time it's going to last. So you enter a preservation mode. You bury the meat, you smoke it, the food you gathered, the vegetables and stuff, same thing, bury it. You try to preserve it, keep it cool, and so forth. But then whatever you couldn't preserve, you go into a consumption phase. Eat what you have in front of you, or it will perish. And then the last thing was consumption. So if you preserve things, you would consume it. If things were rotting, you consumed it. Well, fast forward to today, money comes in a hunt. The optimal payment frequency would be to be paid 3 times a day. if your employer would pay you right before breakfast time, again around lunch and in the evening, in installments gosh, would you live a balanced life? But what happens is your money comes in once a week for some people, but most people once every 2 weeks or once a month. And the reason the employer does this is it's economically more viable for them. There's administration of sending out paychecks and so forth. So there's a reason they do that. And there's other benefits to the employer. But now the hunt is happening every 2 weeks. That woolly mammoth is captured. Our wiring goes, I have just captures woolly mammoth. Oh my God, it's not preserved. I must consume it. So we go into this consumption mind. That money's going to go away. Grab it while you can. And the reason we do that is because the money isn't being preserved. We don't have buckets to put it into. It's not being buried underground. It's not being smoked. So our mind goes consume, consume, consume. Oh, I need that thing, consume. And then we get to the end of that period, the 2 weeks, and we're out of money, and then panic ensues because we consumed it. It's our natural wiring. So what we talk about in this book is don't change who you are. It's wired into us from prehistoric times. Channel who you are. So how do you channel it? You set up preservation methods. So that hunt's going to happen every 2 weeks. We're then going to carve up that woolly mammoth or those berries you collected and so forth. We're going to put in different containers. And by putting in different containers, now you can see and you feel this actually settling in your body. There's this emotional setting because the food, the money, has been preserved. And then you can consume from those buckets. And the crazy thing is it sounds like it's a shell game because we're just moving one lump sum of money into these different little buckets, but it's still the same amount of money, which is true. But behaviorally now it works with who we are. So don't change who you are, channel who you are. One last thing is these buckets have to be highly visible because listen, I could set
So don't bury them in the ground.
Yeah, don't bury them in the ground. They have to, you can bury them in the ground, but you got to put a stake of flag there so you know where they are. Yeah. So what we do with this is we do this at your bank. We want to go to an area where you normally go, where that hunt is happening. And then we want to carve it up right there and then. We don't want to kind of let it sit and linger because that rotting effect will take place and we'll go into overconsumption.
And I just want to point out, that's the main habit we're talking about. But there's also what you talk about bank balance accounting, which you talked about in Profit First, but we all do it. It's not just business owners who, to see if you can afford something, you quick look in your app on your phone or you go online and you see, well, how much money do I have, quote unquote. Yeah. And that's the problem because it's not how much money you have because a lot of it needs to be earmarked for other things. Correct. But in your mind, you see, oh, I have this much money. Okay, cool. I'm good. I can go on this shopping spree. I can get those concert tickets. Yep. I'm fine. And then that bites you in the butt. But if you use, so the typical way then would be to train yourself out of that natural habit. Which is backfiring on us, right? Totally. So you're saying, channel it instead. Like, let's just work with what you're already doing instead of having to fundamentally change who you are, which isn't that effective and usually makes people feel like crap in the process. And so now you can still do the thing where you look at your phone to see, do I have money for this concert ticket? No, I still do. You'll know definitively. Yeah. Yeah. So now you're just rocking that instead of feeling bad about doing that.
Well, you explained it's called the primacy effect. And so the primacy effect is that we put a disproportionate significance or importance in something that's immediately in front of us, not considering the future elements. So right now, today, whatever financial question that comes into my mind, my wife this morning said, oh, Jake's getting those Devils tickets. Maybe we should fly out to Salt Lake City to see Jake right then, because wouldn't that be a fun surprise? And we're at the Devils game when he gets there. Well, the primacy effect kicks in and says, okay, we need to get plane tickets, hotel room, plane tickets, 2 people, Salt Lake City from New Jersey, $500 per person. That's $1,000 plus a hotel out there. We're going to someone to watch the dog. Pardon me? Someone has to watch the dog. Watch the dog, right. So you kind of go through those things. It's like, oh, it's probably a $5,000 trip. So then I go, that's a lot of money. Do I have $5,000? So I log into my bank account. If I have one lump sum of money and my paycheck came in and there's, I get $8,000 in there. I'm like, hey, we got enough. I got $8,000. But then I got a mortgage due, for $3,000. And it's like, oh my gosh, I just ate through everything. But what about groceries and so forth? But we don't think about that. Primacy effect says whatever our biggest concern is now has to be, we have to ask ourselves if it can be addressed. The behavior or the system that addresses our behavior of carving this money up in different buckets, I could, and we actually have one set up called vacation. And that is a vacation. Or we could have one called gift. But that wouldn't really be a gift because Chris and I are going. So we categorize this money. And if the vacation account has $2,000 in there, I look at it and I say, oh, vacation demand is $5,000 on the bucket of $2,000, not enough, can't do it.
Yeah. And I would also say, even if you're the type of person who's very good at managing your money, but you still wonder, why don't I have enough for this big dream I have? The same principles apply. You know, so let's say you would look at that $8,000 in your account and say, I know I need 3 for my mortgage. Like you already know that. You've got it earmarked, it's set. So you're already thinking about it. What might not be happening is the money to fund the things that you really want to do down the road. You don't realize how you can actually get that done. Because in your mind, you think you don't have enough. So even if, whether it's worrying about something, a necessity that has to be paid, or wondering if maybe you could have this big dream, I think this money habit system works.
I know we got to move on to behind the scenes because we got authors listening in. I just want to share one more principle. It's reducing cognitive load. So what you're just explaining is, even if you're good with money, you're calculating, which puts cognitive load on you. Steve Jobs and Barack Obama, supposedly, both these guys had very limited attire. So Steve Jobs always wore that turtleneck and so forth because he didn't have to think about it. That's your uniform. And purportedly, Barack Obama had a few suits, many suits, but the same suit over and over again. And they were photographed, matched up with the red tie or the blue tie. And it was just like, grab that one. And there was no cognitive load, which means you can deploy that elsewhere. The money habit will reduce cognitive load.
See, when I get you going, you bring in all the stuff about habits, because I want people to understand that core message of channeling your habits instead of trying to change them. It's not just one habit. It's the things, the way we are naturally wired.
Yeah.
A lot of methods to try and help you with your cash management fail because they go against how we're naturally wired. Yeah. And so I believe that this is why more than 1 million business owners have successfully used the Profit First system to save their own businesses and grow their businesses. And so this is why I know it will work for individuals. I just wanted people to get that on this launch week. And to also hear you talk about it, because our listeners are people who are authors or want to be authors, and to see you have a conversation with me about who it's for, why it's different. How do you talk about that? So you just demonstrated that as well. So I wanted to make sure.
I think what's super revealing is this the conversation you and I would have while writing the book. Like this exact conversation.
With a little more like exuberance and maybe cursing. Enthusiastic cursing when that was
and some storytelling. But a lot of the stuff we talked about isn't in the book explicitly, but it's in there implicitly. It's wired into the stories and so forth, because it's not important that people understand all of these behavioral components. It's important, and this is the promise of the book, that they achieve a pathway to financial independence, a way that reduces any worry. So it's a worry-free pathway, I guess is a better way to say it, to financial independence. They don't need to know optimal foraging theory and primacy effect and cognitive load and cognitive dissonance and resolution. You don't have to worry about that stuff. But all that stuff is the foundational elements that are supporting the progress of the journey of the author, the reader.
What you're ultimately saying is it has to work.
Right. And
And you know it works.
I think the reader who doesn't hear this will never realize, oh, he's clearly doing a move to resolve cognitive load theory. Like, no, they'll say, oh, this just feels right.
Yeah, but we do include some, to support core message, we do include some of that science in very manageable, doses, consumable doses. Yes.
Yeah. This is why you act like you act. Should we get to some of the behind the scenes stuff?
Let's do it. That was great. I wanted you to do the whole thing so that people could hear it.
I got to pull it up. I want to share some of the titles that we considered and didn't use. So here's a little technique for our authors. As when you write a book, there's so much that goes to the cutting room floor. I am right now in my addiction to Spinal Tap because the new version 2 came out. I have loved Spinal Tap 1. I'm thinking about one of our rooms. We have one room dedicated to Young Frankenstein, another love of ours, my wife and I. Spinal Tap is up there. So I'm thinking about setting up a Spinal Tap room in our house.
How many rooms do you have?
How many rooms?
Oh, the Frankenstein room, Young Frankenstein, what would you just go in there and it's like the movie?
It's just like the movie. Yeah, you haven't seen the room yet?
No.
Okay. When the podcast room is done, we're going to film it. I'm going to take you for a tour of the house.
Great.
So we set up a room. So my wife and I are so into Young Frankenstein. Like we can quote the lines and stuff. We just watched it again. We watched the movie probably 20 times, 30 times. So we have some memorabilia from Young Frankenstein, but particularly just shots from the movie with the actors and so forth. So there's a famous scene with the bookshelf where Victor Frankenstein is trying. No, Victor. Now I'm getting the name.
You've seen it 20 times.
Pardon me?
You've seen it 20 times.
I know. Now I'm mixing up all the names because I want to be so perfect. And so, yeah. So
all right, just say the thing.
Whatever. So he goes into the bookshelf and he pulls up a candle to open up the bookshelf. And it's a very funny scene. So we have a bookshelf where you remove the candle and it doesn't trigger it because we didn't want to get that sophisticated, but then the bookshelf will open. So you pick up the candle and then you open a bookshelf and it's a secret passageway into another room, which is the laboratory. This is where Dr. Frankenstein brought the monster to life.
What are you talking about? You built a lab?
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta see, it's a dungeon, like it's a laboratory. So it's the not cinder block, but whatever the chiseled rock was that they had in the movie, like a castle.
What?
Yeah. Dude, it is so, people go ape crazy over this room. The famous thing is there's the lab table that was, you crank up and we had the chains coming down. You can't crank up this. It's a bed. It's a Murphy bed.
You are joshing me so hardcore right now.
No, I gotta show you. I cannot believe I haven't shown you this room.
You say you have a crank bed?
No, it doesn't. It looks like it. It's a Murphy bed.
You have got to be pulling my leg.
I'm not. It's a Murphy bed that comes down, so it's a guest room. But then there's chains on it, so it's a reenactment.
What?
Yeah. Oh, it's a reenactment of it, and we have the electrical things, like all that stuff.
Who's doing this for you? Who's doing this? You are.
Poor Martin McKay. If you ever want someone to renovate your home, it's Martin McKay. Poor guy, because he's like, well, what am I doing? He's right there now at the house doing the podcast room. And he's like, you want this to be absolutely silent? I'm like, it has to be absolutely silent. And they're like, oh, the insulation and ways to do it.
I fully expect you to text me later and be like, JK.
No, totally. I'll send you a video. Maybe we can do that. Maybe we can do it as a bonus, like for folks
of your Frankenstein room.
I will take people for a private video tour.
Oh my God. I know. What?
Private video tour. How about this?
You are so weird.
This is my big promotion. So the book is coming out this week. If you order a copy on your platform of choice, bookshop.org, of The Money Habit. Now, a lot of people are like, well, I already bought it. You can't it's the honor system. You can't say, well, because I already bought a book, I get all the goodies. If you get a copy of it and send me the receipt, my email is mike@mikemichalowicz.com, and say Frankenstein room in the title, I will send you a video of a private Frankenstein room tour so that you can see behind the scenes how to do this. But it's got to be purchased. It's got to be an additional copy that you purchased today and this week. But send me the receipt. But you can't apply to anything else. Like don't say, well, but also I get all these other bonuses.
If you're listening to this after the fact, then your deadline.
Still can do it.
Oh, they can still do it.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't want them to do it during this week?
I love it. I love to do it right away. But if you listen, someone's going to listen to this a year later. You're like, I need guys to
send them the Frankenstein thing.
Yeah, I'll film the video and hold on to it.
And
then remind me in the email. Say, hey, I want to see the video of the Frankenstein room you promised on. Don't write that book because I'll forget. So,
goodness, we're way off track. But that you just blew my mind.
Yeah, so the little story I was trying to get to, but I totally took us off track. Was Spinal Tap. I'm reading now about Spinal Tap, and it's remarkable how much goes to the cutting room floor. Yeah. So in the book, they're talking about, this scene was cut, that scene was cut. And they're amazing scenes. So for The Money Habit, there's probably another 10,000 to 20,000 words of content.
Oh, no.
More?
No. 50?
What do you think?
Oh, in your cutting that you're including as a bonus and some other stuff. But how many other words did we write? Probably at least double.
Yeah, at least. So another 50 to 60,000 maybe.
Yeah.
In the lost content, I think there's like 25, 50, maybe about 35 pages of stuff.
Yeah, it's a bunch
of stuff. Here, one of the things we included is all the titles that were being considered. And we have an episode dedicated to titles, I believe.
We do.
And so here, I just want to read some off that we considered. And this is right from day one, but we keep on accumulating them. The Money Habit title wasn't picked wasn't finalized until the book was almost done. It was called Made for Money originally.
Yeah, this is one I came up with.
You came up with The Money Habit.
Yes. I haven't come out. I've had a couple of them. Clockwork
was your most famous. That saved us.
But yeah, The Money Habit, I'm proud of that one. I think that one makes better sense. But let's hear some of the no-goes.
Divide and Prosper, Divide to Thrive, Stupid Rich, The Cash Cure, Money Mastery, Financial Freedom.
Stupid Rich.
You do like Stupid Rich?
Yeah, but not for this book. But I like it as a title. That's the thing is we get stuck on titles that just sound good, but they might not be right for our stuff. Yeah. Stupid Rich is a good title.
The Prosperity Principle, Strike It Rich, Rolling in It, Easy Street, Money Talks, The Money Method, Millionaire Mind, Success Ladder, Richify, Rich Now, Rich Right,
Richify,
Fluenteer, Profiteer, Wired for Wealth, Wired to be Rich, Wired for Money, Wired for Cash, Wired to be Rich, repeat it again. Wired Rich, Wired Wealth, Wired for Money. So it's interesting in some of these titles, you get into the wired or whatever the concept is, and you just iterate. Moneymaker, Making Money, Money Mastery, Made Rich, Made for Money. That's the one we were working with. And then we removed Made Money, Money Made, The Money Muscle, Money Now, Rich Now, Made to be Rich, Rich Easy Now, Easy Health. Easy Wealth, Money Made Easy, Money on Automatic, How Regular People Get Rich, The Wealth Method, and so forth. There's probably 50 titles.
Did you know that you've used that title, Money on Automatic, you have had in a different title list for a different book?
Okay.
Did you know that? I think some part of you loves that title.
Money on Automatic.
You probably don't remember.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't. One title was just Money. One title was Small Plates. So what's interesting about this is by considering all these titles, it's broken me out of a real risk or bane for many authors is title addiction. Authors who come up with the title say that's it. It's got to be that title. I am not changing that title, no matter what. I love it. And it's a cognitive bias, and it can really harm us. So by just constantly generating titles, it just kind of lubricates that realization that it needs to change. We use a tool called PickFU or pickfu.com to test from anonymous audiences what title lands. And when you came up with The Money Habit, we tested that and it won.
Yeah, I love PickFu. I also think it's helpful to test your own audience as well and just get a combination of different tests together to see what you see there. But so the lost content is all that deleted content, not the stuff that we were just revising, but content that maybe was complete or almost complete that just got ditched in entirety, mostly in edits. It also includes some of your sketches, right? Some of your notes.
sketches, notes, an email from a couple of readers who inspired some ideas. Is our most comprehensive lost content yet. Even has some of the original charts. So, we have the seasons, which are the recovery season, the activate season. We have different terms that we considered originally.
I do. I actually tell this story about how you were working with AI while I had my notebook.
Oh, so we have like now time, live large. And then I have scrolled notes of writing recovery, activate, fun. So you can just see how it's kind of morphed. In that same notes, I have the chapters, and I'm like, oh, the chapter 3 really should be chapter 2. So it's just interesting. You guys see.
So you get to see behind the scenes in a way that no one else can. And this is bonus material. This is a bonus for purchase.
Yep.
So how many books do you have to buy to get it?
Yeah. So we're testing that out too. So this year, historically, when we did the bonus programs, you buy 3 and you get this, you buy 7, you get that. We never had buy 1 and get something because we want to encourage people to buy and buy to gift. This year, I think we're going to have a buy 1 and get something.
I'm glad you're doing that.
Because the consumer now is individual consumers as opposed to entrepreneurs, business owners. These are new users that have no experience with me. So we want to mitigate the risk and we want to inspire the purchase. So I don't know where lost content will be included. I do know lost content is one of the most in-demand things. So we offer video training, buy 500 books and meet up with Mike in person for a day. Of all the different things.
That's a good deal.
I'm not sure if it's 500 bucks, and I'm not sure if it's.
Okay. Well, what's the URL where people can go find out about that?
I don't know yet because the team's still structuring. So we're recording this on December 2nd. This isn't coming out for another month and a half, so they haven't determined it yet.
Okay, so email DW. Who do you want the email to find it out?
Email me because Amy's monitoring it live. So Mike at MikeMcCallowitz.com and say, where is the bonus pages for the books? And we're going to have it listed there with quantity 1 and so forth, and lost content will be part of it.
Nice.
Hey, we wrote a shorter book, and this was inspired by both of us, but really you drove this point home. Like, let's go shorter is better. And if you can see the book, it's still, it's still got some meat to it, but it is comparatively less text than my prior books. What was the reason behind that?
Well, the consumer is, an individual who maybe doesn't have a lot of time. I think entrepreneurs who are studying how to get better at being entrepreneurs, studying strategy and techniques are also busy, but more willing to dive deep into some of these things. So we needed it to be a faster read. And also, I think, books are trending shorter. Yeah. Doesn't mean you should do it though, automatically. I hope people hear me.
Yeah, I agree.
Ultimately, it's what does the reader need, not what do I think I should do. But we did feel that our reader would benefit from having a shorter book.
I think we have our best dedication ever. Carly Simon's runner-up now, but I'm not going to read off for this dedication. You got to buy the book or ask someone else about it and I'll share it. Also, what we did is we created a founding family. We talked about this in another episode.
We did. These are talked about in the sponsorship episode.
People who supported it. And also a bank is involved in this. So Dream First Bank. And what we have is, here it says, need a money, I can't read upside down. Need a money habit friendly bank. Has a little QR code and that goes to Dream First Bank. They're a sponsor for this book and a bank that inherently now is the only bank that's supporting the personal finance side, the banking personal finance side for the money habit.
Good for them to have that. There's going to be a lot of people clicking that.
So I was just talking with the bank president, effectively, this guy, Chris, over at Dream First. And he's like, I think we're going to stop giving away the crock pot. And they're literally giving away crock pots when you set up a new account. They're old school. And like, we're going to give the money habit. I'm like, that's how you do it. That's how you do it.
They're going to give the money habit instead of a crock pot?
Yeah, when you set up a new account with them. Yeah. Or maybe.
What? That is so exciting.
It's awesome, isn't it? Or what they gave you a choice. What they said,
First
do you want a crock pot?
I love that they're still giving a crock pot.
I was I was like, oh, that's so funny that you're going to do this. I'm like, what, are you really giving anything away? He's like, a crock pot. I'm like, no, but seriously.
Love it. That makes me want to bank with them right now.
Totally. It's old school. That's the 70s all over again.
Yeah. But the money habit is so influential. It's really going to help. I mean, it's in their best interest too, to have people who have sound cash management at their banks. No
question about it.
Yeah. So what other behind the scenes stuff do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'm thinking real quick. How we're determining if it's successful. So I think this is an interesting thing is with entrepreneurs, there's 350 million small business entrepreneurs globally. That's companies under $25 million in revenue. When it comes to people with personal finances, there's questions how many people are on this planet. They say 8 billion. It actually may be 10 billion. We don't really know. But we're talking about billions. This is like a McDonald's, billions served. Like it's a mass audience. But we're doing this in a tiered approach. So the first level of success is, will entrepreneurs adopt this for their own finances to bring an equilibrium financially to their business and to their home? That's the first measurement, is what's the adoption rate of entrepreneurs. Second level is how many entrepreneurs are encouraging their colleagues and employees to deploy it. And then the third level is how many individuals are buying it for themselves. It's hard to put numbers around those latter two because we've never done that before. But around entrepreneurs, we know Profit First has sold 1.2 million books for sure. So there's 1.2 million authors that hopefully, entrepreneurs that in the future will buy this book. So a measurement of success is this book needs to sell into the millions of units. And I'll consider it successful. But the other thing is how we're measuring it is in this book, just like every book, we invite a reader to contact me. It goes into my inbox. I do monitor it, but so does Amy now because we're getting so many emails. And we're going to see how many emails we get. We get about an email every 30 to 40 minutes about per day, every day, 24 hours around the clock for Profit First or one of my other books. But Profit First is 80 to 90% of it. The Pumpkin Plan's in there, all in. And so the question is, are we going to get an email every 15 minutes here or an email every 10 minutes on average? That's when we know we've nailed what we want to, because I'll point to the volume.
Interesting. An email every 10 minutes.
Yeah. About 5 to 6 an hour. We think is going to be it because that puts us about 125 to 150 emails a day. And that now we know we're doing about 4 to 5 times the volume on Profit First. And that will show that it's running the pace that we want it to run at. And listen, these are no question selfish goals, but also it's impact goals. It's like, I feel compelled or called to fix a big problem because I believe it was Thoreau who said the massive man lives in quiet desperation, something to that effect. I think the massive humankind lives in quiet desperation because we're worried about money. Like, I think that's the little add-on. It's the most common worry is, do I have enough money? I think we can address that with this book.
I would measure success by, hearing from the same way you're talking about. I wouldn't put how many minutes, but hearing from readers and their experience, which we've already done, but hearing from it more often. Yeah. Just as you've shared there. But I think I already view the book as a success though. So I think, a book is successful to me if we did what we set out to do and the book delivers on the promise, which it does. And that to me is already a success. So then we step into a new era, which is marketing the book. But I think I want everybody here listening, if you don't sell millions of books, that doesn't mean your book is not a success. If you're delivering on the promise, it's a success. It really is.
So I have a podcast called Becoming Self-Made, and I really encourage everyone listening in to listen to that. It's about the journey of authorship, entrepreneurs. I interviewed Don Miller, and it's funny. He goes, I wrote a book called Blue Like Jazz, and it was a big success. And then he goes, I wrote another book. And he goes, it was a total flop. It only sold 10,000 copies the first year. And on the podcast, I go, oh, wait, that's a flop? He goes, that's a flop. I'm like, no, stop. The average book sells 250 copies over the lifetime of a book. But there's this context is, as a career author, you achieve a certain threshold, that becomes the new high watermark. And it's not necessarily right, but it's how I think a lot of people behave. It's like, well, it's got to perform at that level. So now that we have a book over 1 million units sold, like anything less than that feels like we're not hitting the high watermark that we should.
Well, I'm glad that you're on a writing hiatus now, so you can do that, because
Market accordingly.
To hit that, you have to
you got to market the living
a serious amount of hustle for a number of years.
There's no question about it. A couple more things before we got to wrap up here. The surprising differences between Page Two, which is a hybrid publisher, versus the big five traditional path, Penguin, Random House, who I was with. Well, first of all, I started an imprint with Page Two called Simplified. So there's an immediate advantage there because there's a dedicated person, Leslie Boodle, who's overseeing the Simplified authors. So the way she was able to address very particular concerns and cater to our needs was at such a higher level. And I think this is true throughout all of Page Two, but it was notable once Leslie came on board, was working with me, of the white glove service. But the other things I didn't expect, and this is just throughout Page Two versus traditional publishing, like the cover design. I'm still so enamored working with Peter at Page Two. I remember the first call, and he's like, okay, it was like 30, 45 minutes. We're talking about the cover. He goes, well, The Money Habit, and it wasn't called The Money Habit at that point. He goes, what other books, like what are the contemporaries it's going to run with? And when you see it on a shelf, like when someone buys their personal finance books, what books do you see sitting next to it? You know, Ramit's book, I Will Teach You to Be Rich, for example, and so forth. And he's like, okay, we got to make sure it fits in on the shelf properly with that. Like, it's just considerations I never heard from any author that's worked with the traditional, where, and this is critical, but it feels like someone that's just brand new to the arts or some old computer program before AI is just spitting out these things. You and I, we talk about it because it's so laughable. The cover designs that were proposed for the Pumpkin Plan, it was like a horrible B-level horror movie.
Yeah.
Like this pumpkin destroying people. Like,
it's not a euphemism. It looked like an actual horror movie.
Yeah, but a bad one. Like a Toxic Avenger was more thought out. So the thoughtfulness, I thought, throughout, the level of editorial work. Ronnie, who's our liaison there, the manager of this, every week with reports, there was such detail of how we're progressing, where it's going along. When this was going through the factory and being printed, the press, there's pictures from the factory floor and you see the book being printed. Mm-hmm. When the team received it at Page Two, there's a picture of the team there holding the book, like 5 or 6 folks, and they send it over. Mm-hmm. Jesse was there, and
what you're describing is they care, they're attentive, they don't just say they care with words, they're
engaged throughout,
show with their deeds, and they are genuinely jazzed about it and show you that they are.
I've had countless one-on-ones with Trina. She's the one I was kind of negotiating this process with. But I've met with Jesse face to face 4 times. Do you know, I met Adrian, and this isn't, again, not being critical, but just to give context of Penguin, who's the publisher, Penguin, for the portfolio division, I think once for 20 minutes, and maybe 2 more times passively. I did have one phone call with him, which was a kind of a weird call. And that was it. And that call was maybe 5 minutes. So the attentiveness is a level I never, ever expected. Now, on the other side is I have to belly up. So we're talking about cash flow here as me with Kelsey, our president. And she goes, it's kind of weird not getting, a 6-figure advance every year, plus royalties. So she's like, that's kind of, we felt that. Instead of making it, we had to write out 6 figures for printing and the fees for the, Page Two charges appropriate, but they're real fees for their services. And now you got to, quote, wait another year or 2 to earn it back. So it's flipped our cash flow model. And, we felt it, but we're on the other side of it now. It's like, oh, cannot wait. The returns and royalties more than
it's
double.
not going to be maybe the fall, but
The commissions?
26, maybe.
Yeah. Well,
'cause
the
you still
audio
have to wait.
is under our authority, so the audio is much faster, right?
Well,
so there's a drip of stuff.
Okay, so that's good. But
Yeah, and also note, for me, historically, my audiobooks outsell any other form. 52
good
to
news.
53.
I didn't know you had kept that, so that's good. But realistically, because we have to first wait for all the returns back, it's realistically probably full.
Yeah.
The good news is it's page 2 is quarterly, not biannually, which is what most big five
Semi-annually, just to be clear.
Well, what?
Biannual means once every 2 years. Semi-annual
Oh, I
means
said that wrong. Sorry. Twice a year, March and October, to be specific.
Semi-annual, yeah.
But it's quarterly with page 2.
That's right.
So once it kicks in, but it's not going to kick in for me long after it's going to kick in for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm probably looking at, I don't know when, 27, 28.
No. What? For getting any return on this?
Yeah.
No. No. 'Cause I think the first substantial checks will start rolling in.
No, but we have a deal. Do you remember we have a deal that it's been a long time since you had to invest.
Did we pay you up front already?
No.
Yeah. So you start earning right away.
No.
Oh.
I mean, you want to do that? I will not say no. But you know why you don't remember? Because it has been so long.
Oh, we didn't earn the cost out. Yeah. Okay.
That's why I haven't seen a single penny from Surge.
Okay. Right. We agreed to the cost. Right. Yeah. That's right. So well, it depends, but the launch, so we've sold 6,500 units so far. Our massive hope is 14,000 by launch day. So whoever's listening to this, buy 14,000 copies. If you're still listening.
See the Frankenstein room.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah, exactly. You can you can stay overnight in the Frankenstein room.
I mean, shoot, if you'll buy copies, I'll make my room look like some movie I love and take a picture of it. It'll probably be like weird construction paper things on the wall to make it look. I'd do anything to get this book sold. But you said 14,000 is the goal.
So 14,000, but now instead of royalties of $350 a book, it's more like $7 to $8 a book.
But okay, so it's 7 to 8, and then the cost comes out of that.
No, that's all. That's after printing.
It's after printing?
Yeah, that was when I ran the estimates. It was about double. So say 7,
including the costs of having Macmillan as a distributor.
That's my understanding. I mean, we'll get clarity. You only get clarity when you're through the process. But when we were in all the spreadsheets, it was $7 on a $30 book. So I would make sure the retail price is right. So after $30,
it's right on here.
Yeah, it's $29.95.
Okay.
And so then there's the discount, 50%. So that brings you now to $15. And all the costs and stuff, we attributed about $7 to $8, and that's why it's because it's $15.
What are you doing? The wholesale discount from Amazon?
The wholesale.
Is that what were you just saying? The discount? Are we referring to?
Oh yeah, what the retailer buys it for? The retailer gets a discount of 50%.
But you don't. That's not how you should be figuring it anymore. That's not how you should be figuring out your spreadsheets. You should be figuring it based on what Macmillan pays out. What page 2 is going to pay out through because of Macmillan.
So maybe we do another episode around this. So
yeah, because
what I'm pretty sure. So that's why I want to do my research first. That we validated this with page 2. They said, yeah, that's basically accurate.
Okay,
the number came
I'm
up
just
with.
saying you wouldn't figure on anything to do with discounts from retailers when you have trade distribution. That would not be a factor.
Okay, so yeah, maybe let's dedicate an episode to it. So, but the net effect is we believe we'll be generating $7 to $8 per book. Page 2 did confirm that does sound accurate, but we'll only know once this gets flushed through the system. So roughly double what you would earn from a traditional. And if you self-publish, you make almost 2.5 to 3 times what you'd make on a traditional. That's my understanding, but we'll find out for sure.
Well,
So if we sell 14,000 units, all I'm saying is we may earn out most of the costs on launch
still
week.
27 for me. 2027.
Is that your prediction?
Yeah.
Okay. Listen,
I hope
want to prove you wrong. I want to prove you wrong.
You do it. I would love to be another motivating factor. Yeah. But for me, I'm always trying to be conservative, And
it's smart. It's smart. Yeah. So it's a long-term play. So this, 2027 is when you start earning your returns. I get a mid 2026 to start offsetting my costs. But we started this project
2024,
2 years ago.
2024. But we've been talking about it for 5 years before that. And we've been testing it for 17 years.
Yeah. And we started incurring costs back in 2024 when we engaged with Page 2. We had to write a checkout right on the spot. So, the financial model's flipped in that regard. And you got to be real careful about the cash flow trap of getting a royalty check, from the traditionals and writing a new book, getting a nice royalty check. There's definitely a flip there. So you will feel that.
But let's, that's a long game. A lot of people would say 3 years, 4 years before you earn anything on something.
Yeah.
But let's do the math. If you're making $2 a book at your traditional and you're making $7 a book, and you still have trade distribution, you still have everything you need. Now you've decided you want to sell 1 million copies. 2 million versus 7 million is what we're talking about.
Yeah. I've never gotten 2. I've been about 350.
Okay. So 3 million, whatever.
3.5 versus
3.5 million versus 7 is significant. So is it worth it to wait 3 years? Yeah.
The number in my head is this model for us makes sense unequivocally at 100,000 units sold of any format. So the collective format, assuming 52% will be audios, 100,000 units and we're in the black. But realistically, it's actually a little bit lower than that. Maybe it's like 85 or 87,000.
Why 100,000 units to be in the black when you're making $7 a book?
Yeah, because the costs versus the typical advance size game. So no, I get it.
Based on the advance, I got it. So it's not really to be in the black. It's comparatively speaking to the other advances.
Where would I earn more? And so every time I spoke with Trina and Jesse, going back 2 books, whatever, to Get Different or whatever,
mm-hmm.
I'd say, I want to do a book with you. They said, we want you so badly. And I'd say, but the advances,
mm-hmm.
what was Get Different, like 350 or
370.
I can't remember the
it was a big one.
So I'm like, I can't do it. And then so every time that I said the advance, they're just making bigger and bigger advances. So I can't justify it. And they were amazing. They said, we get it. We understand. Tell us when the next book is ready. And
they're also playing the long game.
Yeah, totally smart. And they're just beautiful humans.
The next book.
All right. I think we beat this horse down.
We did, but this is why people listen to us, is to hear us have this weird conversation about, is it $7 or is it $3? And people want to know this stuff. It's, what are these conversations like? So I think it was good. And also, I don't want you to jump too fast to the end. I want you to also just take in and congratulate you on completing the book, on launching the book, and entering this new phase.
Thank you. And right when we wrap up here, I'm heading to the airport to get on the road and keynote on The Money Habit, even though the book's not out yet. So we did one more behind the scenes thing is we're doing. Actually, let me do some of the wrap up, because what I noticed is I was listening to our own show, and you can kind of feel when the show's coming to an end. I started hitting the fast forward. So I'm going to say little bonuses for the end is what we got to do. Before I give what that extra thing is I'm doing to move a lot of books, want to share that everyone should be getting another book. It's called Write a Must Read by AJ Harper. I'll tell you, if you buy Write a Must Read and The Money Habit, pre-order The Money Habit or order The Money Habit and Write a Must Read, and they sell together, that would be mind-blowing. And I think it's oddly the perfect combination for an author. You got to write a book that changes the world, and you got to be financially viable as you do it. And I think the combination will make it a reality. AJ, you also have some retreats going on or workshops, or what do you got going on?
We do. It's retreat season is in the summer, in June, July, and August. And it's at my place on Madeline Island for a week. It's magical, transformative. totally immersive, really hard work in the very best way of making significant progress on your work in progress, your manuscript. So it's not a writing retreat in a traditional sense where you're starting something new. It's an editing retreat where you're working on something that you need. Maybe you have a deadline, maybe you don't, but you have a few chapters. So I don't know where we'll stand when this airs, how many slots will be available. So you definitely want to go check it out, because we're recording this on December 2nd. And at this point, we already have been booking. People have already been signing up for the summer. We only do 3 next year. We did 4 last year, and we decided we only wanted to do 3, just for our bandwidth. Mm-hmm. And this is probably one of the only, it's one of the only ways you can work with me one-on-one. And it's the only way to work on with me in person.
So go to ajharper.com to sign up for that. And also, if you have any questions, feedback, episodes you want to hear, email us at hello@dwtbpodcast.com. We want to hear from you. Here's a little bonus tip. So I'm speaking in lieu of fee for book purchases, and that's having a big impact. So I have an automotive group, ATI. They're extraordinary. And they said, can you come out and speak about the money habit? And the normal fee I get now is $45,000. And I said, listen, I can reduce that fee substantially. And would you simply be willing to buy books for everyone that attends, plus their family, plus all their employees, right? Done. It's a great way to move a lot of books. And I think a lot of authors should leverage that opportunity to get their books out there. All right, let's call it a day. Remember this. Don't write that book. Write the greatest book you can.